One District, One Book, where we are reading The Lion of Mars. Today we are reading Chapter 14. Join me on page 122. Chapter 14, Cake. Instead of a birthday party, there was a funeral. We put on environmental suits and climbed to the surface. It was a shockingly beautiful day. The sky was clear and light. Albie and Cy carried the bag with Phineas's body to the little graveyard. They buried him in the dusty red Martian soil, wrapped in his favorite thing, a thick piece of algae paper. You were our teammate, our companion, our family. We will miss you, Phineas, Cy said, his voice crackling over my headset. I looked at Memes. Tears were running down her face the same way they were running down mine. Rest now, old friend, Cy said. You've earned it. Then we piled rocks on top of the grave, and everyone cried. After the burial, we gathered in the mess hall to have lunch. I couldn't stop looking at Phineas's empty chair, remembering what he had yesterday. It was a fuzzy blur like a digi-reel on fast-forward, all jumbled images. Cy and Eliana running into the algae farm, Phineas's still body, the look of horror on Cy's face. Eliana hitting the alarm, Memes running in with her bag, her holding my shoulders and telling me I had a non-med shock, and then giving me a shot in the arm, as I cried and I cried and cried. How everything seemed to drift away into darkness. Phineas was dead. Are you okay? Flossie asked me from across the table. I shook my head. How could I possibly be okay when Phineas was dead? I would never be able to talk to him again. Never hear his laugh. He was gone and nothing would ever be the same. After being shot yesterday, I slept for a while. When I woke up, I was back in my own bed. For a moment, I thought maybe it had all been a bad dream. But then I saw Albie's tear-stained face and knew it had actually happened. Something else was bothering me, too. Memes said Phineas had died from a heart attack. She said it was typical for old people. I know she thought she was being reassuring, but I was horrified because when I looked at all the grown-ups, all I could see was gray hair and wrinkles. Under the lunch table, I felt fur brush my ankle and looked down at Leo. Meow, he said. He looked sad, too. I couldn't help but wonder if Leo had known all along. Was that why he had been scratching at the door? Had he been trying to save Phineas? At the far end of the table, Cy took a deep breath. I've informed command of Phineas's death. They'll notify his next of kin. Is his brother alive? Eliana asked. He died last year, Memes said. But there's a nephew, I believe. I'll send a personal condolence message from all of us. That sounded nice, but who would send a condolence message to us? Who would tell us how sorry they were that we had lost a member of our family? Because that's what Phineas had been. Family. A wave of sadness washed over me. Darby laughed. Do you remember the time Phineas thought he had discovered a new species? Salty Bill chuckled. I'd nearly forgotten about that. What happened? Flossie asked. Memes turned to me with a smile. He'd gone outside and collected a sample of something. He was convinced it was a new organism. Darby picked up the story. He put it in a dish, and lo and behold, something grew from the sample. He was so excited. When he studied the new species, he realized it was just a booger, Memes said. A booger? I asked. Yes, Memes said. One of you children had stuck a booger in the sample. Who was it? I asked. Put it this way. He told us he would name this new organism T. Vera, Memes said. Vera reddened and everybody laughed. Around the room it went, one story after another. and with each story my heart felt a little lighter. I had so many favorite memories of Phineas. It was hard to pick just one. But I think it was the time he had taught me how to plant seeds. Dig a hole, drop a seed, cover it with soil, add a little water, and wait. I still remembered my amazement when the green sprouts had finally burst through the soil. Flossie walked out of the kitchen carrying a cake. "Happy birthday, Memes," she said with a sad smile. "We were going to throw you a surprise party, but..." "It's carrot cake," Albie said. "It was Belle's idea." "Oh, Belle," Memes said, looking teary-eyed. "Thank you." Flossie sliced the cake and passed plates down the table. But I just stared at my piece. "Aren't you going to eat it?" Salty Bill asked me. "It feels bad eating cake when Phineas isn't here," I whispered. "He'd want you to enjoy it," he said gruffly. "He was never one to waste a piece of cake." And that made me smile because it was true. So I ate my slice. Phineas was gone, but life went on in the settlement. It was shocking how the loss of a single person had affected our whole little world. Even though Phineas had been meticulous about making notes in the record, there were many things that only he knew. When Phineas had died, he had taken all his experience with him. Albie, who had picked up the algae farm in addition to his other responsibilities, was frustrated. One day he told me a batch of algae had turned out bad. "I don't know where anything is," he confessed. "I can't find the fertilizer for the beets." "It's probably in the cabinet over the sink," I said. "And there's a link in the container growing the spinach, and I can't figure out what's causing it." "It's probably the roots," I told him. "They can clog things and cause backup." Albie looked surprised. "How do you know all this?" "I just remember Phineas telling me." "Can you help me figure things out?" he asked. I hadn't been to the algae farm since Phineas died. Albie must have seen something on my face because he said, "That was dumb of me. Forget I even asked." "No, it's okay," I told him. "I'll come help." It felt wrong to be back in the algae farm. Everywhere I looked, there were living things. Algae, vegetables, fruit, all so green and growing, coaxed to life and nurtured by Phineas. But he was gone. It was so unfair. I'd never had a chance to tell him goodbye. Even a plant said farewell in its own way. It sagged, leaves falling off one by one until there was finally nothing left but a lonely, bare stem. "Remember me," it whispered. "This place is kind of confusing." Albie scratched his head as if he didn't know where to start. Stuff was piled randomly on shelves, seeds and tools, and fertilizer, and hydroponic parts. Phineas wasn't organized. In fact, he was pretty much the opposite of Cy, with his perfectly lined bins. We decided I would label and organize the supplies so the others could find them more easily. "What's this herb?" "Doesn't taste very good," Albie said, holding out a sprig of green. "It's catnip," I said. "Oh," he said and made a face. For the first time in days, I laughed. After that, we decided it was probably a good idea to label the plants too. Thank you for joining me. See you on our next chapter.